Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this first ever show of Clan Chat, the podcast that's going to be dedicated to all things Braehead Clan and the Elite Ice Hockey League. As far as I'm aware, we are the first fan-made podcast on the Braehead Clan, so a wee bit of history here today, as it were. So, just to give a quick introduction, my name is David Marshall, and joining me, helping me out doing this, is my good friend, fellow Clan fan, fellow Clan season ticket holder, and just all-round good guy, John Forrest.
Hi folks.
Hi, so excited for the new hockey season to be up and running again?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, so we were both at the game at the weekend with, is it Asiago or
Asiago?
Asiago, that's the Italian mob that came over. So for this new season, first one we're going to talk about is all the changes from last season in terms of the roster. As is the nature with British hockey, and most the Clan more so than most. There was a lot of outgoings and fairly decent amount of new imports as well. First of all, focus on the players that are going out. Now, got a fairly large list here. Going out was Mike Will, Sam Zizek, Daniel Nicolard, I can never get his name right, Kenton Smith, Mario
LaRocque.
That's the one. I can see there's another one I can never get right. Joe Cullen, Ed McGrain, Ash Goldie, Julian. I don't think he really ever played in it.
Corriveau.
There we go. Shane Lust, Kevin Bergen, Joe Champagne, Matt Dowie, and Aidan Fulton. I think from that list, the most notable names we've got going out, probably in terms of the quality of player, is Ash Goldie and probably McGrain and Big Bergen as well.
They'll be sorely missed. I think it'll be a hard task to replace players like Ed McGrain and Ash Goldie because they were huge point scorers last season.
Mm-hmm. Sam Zizek is gone because he's a big fan favourite as well, more for just his more his style of play or his attitude really to the game.
His
maybe.
terrier attitude.
Yeah, he wasn't afraid to get stuck in and maybe not so much leave his mark, but make a point nonetheless.
Just 4 foot nothing and take on anybody.
Yeah. Well, coming in, we had, as I said, a good few amount of exports. How can an export come in? Imports coming in. Firstly, netminder Joe Myers joined up, along with defenseman Jamie. I see another name. Is it Fritz? His name is, or is it just Fritz?
Fritz.
Because I was trying, when I was at the game Saturday, I was trying to see how they were pronouncing it, but I couldn't catch it. We'll go for Fritz. Fritz sounds about right. It was Zach Fitzgerald. That's a bit more easy to pronounce. Ryan Kavanagh, close enough. Then Zach Sullivan, where they came in May, of course. Forward Ben Davis, Matt Keefe, Stephen Meyer, Derek Rowe, Lee Salters, and new boy Scott Pipp, who made his debut in Sunday's game after arriving on Sunday. So we've had a couple of games. Who would you say most excited you from the new boys that you've seen so far?
Well, the fact that he stepped off the plane on a Sunday morning and then came and put up 2 goals, I'd say Scott Pitt looked outstanding to me, and also I like the power forward kind of physical player Lee Salters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he done what Joe Champagne couldn't do last season. Basically, the size of the boy, he parked his arse right in front of the goalie and it caused a screened goal, which we get very few of last season because you had someone like Champagne who was, I don't know if he was afraid or he didn't want to play that role.
To get his hair messed up?
He came across a bit of a pretty boy. He didn't like to get and do the dirty work in the game.
I don't know if I'd been a bit harsh in Champagne, but I think when the best thing about you is your name, I don't think it bodes too well for you.
No, he was a good all-round kind of forward player. He did put up a lot of points and he did kind of drive the game forward at times, but he just seemed to lack in the effort and in doing the gritty bits of the game, which in this league, because of it is great quality compared to what we're used to, but it isn't the greatest quality in the world. There is a lot of gritty bits where you're up against the boards and you're needing screened goals and you're needing just a wee tap in. You're not going to get clean cut chances all the time.
I'm just Champagne left to join a men's in France, so I'll be quite interested to know that keep up with French hockey, to be perfectly honest. But I'll be interested to see how he does here. I don't know if maybe the league there will suit him more, and the French lifestyle might be more to his liking as well.
Well, he'd be going there, joining Bergen, helping him out. I'm sure he went. I can't remember if he went as a player coach or he just went purely as a coach. But I hope they do well over there.
To the point of the players coming in, yeah, I think it was hard not to be impressed with Scott Pitt, where he's, as I said, just coming off the plane on the Sunday morning, played just a lot, playing alone on the Sunday, never mind scoring 2 goals, especially the first. We'll touch on that when we get to the game, but yeah, he did well. And one thing I would say impressed me with just seeing the team, and it's only 2 games, friendly games. One thing I think it's clear to see is it's definitely a lot more physical than we were last season.
Yeah, that was definitely the way Finnerty was going with his signings this season. He was wanting to make a physical team that would make an impression on people. Like they would remember playing at Braehead because it'd been bashed about. And a lot of people thought that was a big mistake. Like, obviously you get the usual Pfeiffer saying he's building a goon squad and things like that. But when you look at it, there is a couple of big players that have played enforcer roles before, but they're coming here and I think they're trying to play more attacking hockey and more physical attacking hockey, which has been lacking at Braehead in the last couple of years. We had great players like Jade Galbraith and obviously Ash Goldie, and there wasn't a lot of physicality about the team, which at times were lacking, especially when you played teams like Belfast, who were quite a physical side as well as a skillful side.
Yeah, I think when we're going to games last season, it's something I always moaned about is the fact we always gave away stupid penalties, but we didn't seem to have a decent hit in us. So at least this year, if we're going to be given penalties, you can pretty much put your hands up and say, yeah, we probably deserved that one.
Aye, well, we're going to get penalties and somebody's going to get a sore head.
Yeah.
Like they'll remember being hit, they'll always have that look over their shoulder now that there may be a 2-minute penalty, but that guy will be watching his back the entire game. So
that probably ties us in nicely to talking about the games at the weekend. It's a Sago Hockey in 1935. The first game on Saturday we got beat 3-1. But I think the thing that I really came away from that in terms of the Clans' performance was the physicality that we displayed. I mean, I think that's the most times I've been at a game where it's the most time I heard the crowd go oof after a big hit. I mean, some of the hits on Saturday were just fantastic.
You could see the guys were getting frustrated as well because although it wasn't the greatest game, they were dominant in the first half of the first period, and then I'd say the second half of the second period they were dominant. We had the better chances. We probably had more chances on net as well, and it just wasn't paying off. They just, obviously because they hadn't really played together, they couldn't find each other on the ice, and Asiago used that to their advantage. They've probably been playing together for a while, and it showed. Yeah,
absolutely. I think if you were going to score the match on Saturday like a boxing match, I'd probably give, if you're doing it in terms of rounds, I'd probably give Clan 2 out of 3 periods from Saturday night.
Aye, Asiago just took their chances when they did.
Maybe as well. I know it probably worked the opposite way around on Sunday night, that they ended up getting tired towards the end of the game. But I think Asiago had that momentum of playing a game the night before against the Stars, and maybe got a chance to, I don't know what stage their season's in, but if they had any rink rush, shake it off. I think it was very clear that we were suffering badly from that. I mean, you made the point when we were at the game on Saturday that they only laid the ice at the arena 2 days before the Asiago game on Saturday.
It only went down on the Wednesday, I think. But the guys were training down at Auchenharvey the rest of the week. But I mean, 4 or 5 days training together isn't really a long time when you think of it.
No, absolutely not. So we got a constant. The first 2 periods ended goalless. Very unusual and rare. But third period, again, with the teams pretty even, really Asiago took their chances and scored 3 goals. before we got a late consolation through Big Esders. Highlight of that period though has to be the goalie wipeout, and then Big Frank getting into a wee confrontation with the Sammy Zizek wannabe in the Italian team.
Yeah, well, you could see what was happening towards that fight. The Asiago player wasn't for getting out of Frank's road as the two of them were heading towards the goalie, and Frank must have had the thought in his head like that, well, if you're not moving, I'm not moving. He just went right through the netminder, which did cause a reaction from, I would say, the smallest skater on the ice.
It was very Sammy Zizek-esque, the Italian guy, but to be fair to him, I think Frank got the best of the fight, but I don't think there was much in it. He gave as good as he got to be Italian.
Well, looking at Frank and Sunday, it did look as if he had
a black eye.
He had a black eye from the stands, but I've never seen any other pictures to know for sure.
So that took us to the game on Sunday, where it took me till halfway through the first period till I realised that this was actually doing in a series format and not like an aggregate two-legged tie kind of way.
Well, it usually does help if you keep up with the things on their Facebook, and it does kind of let you know.
I suppose. So the first period, again, it was pretty much the same as the night before. We were on top from, well, I'd say for 90% of the period. Then in the last 30 seconds, we scored an own goal, of all things, to concede. I mean, it was hard to have any complaints. I think we had something like 19 shots on goal in the first period. But it just, again, it looked worrying a little bit, the rustiness in front of a goal. But you'd hope this is something that it is a case just because it's early on, second game in.
That is the point of pre-season, really, isn't it? But it didn't help that we were on the penalty kill as well for Matt Keith getting a bit frustrated and cross-checking someone behind the net. And obviously it's just a case of wrong time, wrong place. Somebody tried to make a block and didn't complete the block, and it just came off them. Jonesy was on the way to his right-hand side, and the puck slid into his left. There's nothing really could have been done about it.
No. In the second period, we got in level terms through Matt Pitt when Asiago were caught making a line change. You can say what you want about it being a pure defensive decision from them, but I still thought it was a good goal from us and a well played and a good finish from Matt Pitt.
That's exactly how you catch a team on the fly.
Yeah.
It was just, I think it might have just been the fact that their legs weren't really in it. They were heavy legged by the Sunday because they had played a game Friday night, Saturday night, and it was just a lapse in concentration, I think, and it just led to a great chance and a great goal.
The second goal from Matt Keefe, I don't know if there's enough superlatives to say how good it was, picking the puck up on his own foot, taking it right through the Asiago, their whole team basically, and scoring it to put the Clan 2-1 up.
And absolutely hanging the netminder out to dry.
Yeah. A little bit unfair, but I mean, you mentioned at the time the Civ chance that came to the Asiago netminder as they do, but I don't know if it was the same guy that was playing the Saturday night, but if it was, and my God, he had a very good 2 games.
It was the same guy that played 2 nights, and he was an absolute outstanding netminder. The amount of shots, I think he faced 39 shots on the Saturday night and let in 1, which
it's incredible.
Really, you can't complain with, especially with our 1 goal being a consolation goal after he got taken out.
Yeah, 3 minutes from time as well, when the game was already buried at that point. Big Esther's got the third before another from Pitt, and it was Myers who scored an empty net after Asiago got another one back to make it 5-2. A good performance all round, I thought, and even you could tell towards the end of the third period Asiago were tiring, but looking at it from a purely a Clan point of view, I thought it was an improvement on the night before as well.
They came on leaps and bounds, just that 24 hours to let that sink in, and they came out and absolutely stormed it.
Mm-hmm. Even saying that, John, I mean, when I left there on Saturday night, I was a bit disappointed with the Clan performance, but on reflection, I don't actually think they played that bad. I think it was just the rustiness in front of goal that left me feeling like that. But I think for your first game back and a new team gelling together, I think we played quite well over the 2 days.
Yeah, they played really well. I think it was just that old cliche that the bounces never went their way on Saturday night, and then they really went their way on the Sunday night. There was a lot of chances in both games for both teams, and it was just the luck of the draw, really.
Yeah. Of course, so that meant that the Aladdin Cup series was tied at 1 game apiece, which, contrary to the disregarding opinion of the crowd when it was announced, the format of a 20-minute mini-game and if needed 4 versus 4 overtime was scrapped in favour of a shootout. But when you consider this was Asiago's third game in as many days, I think we can sympathise with the coach's views to just go to the shootout, which in turn Braehead would win after 4 perfect penalties, the last one getting scored by Big Roll, and Braehead clan retain the Aladdin Cup.
Well, hopefully we would retain a cup we made. But aye, it was some outstanding penalties. I can remember last year not being able to score a penalty at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you'd have the odd one throughout the season, but they were just hopeless last season, and they were absolutely phenomenal on Saturday night, and Jones making 2 big saves as well, which obviously helped.
I think the one I remember most is when Pitt scored, because he took it so wide, and I don't think you usually see that from elite league penalties. It's usually they try to go dart right at the keeper, but he took his like near enough coming in from the wing and basically rounded the keeper 2 or 3 times before he put it in the net.
Yeah, it was something else. You never really, as you said, you never really see that. It's usually just a drive straight to the net and try and deke the goalie.
Mm-hmm.
But he took it practically as wide as a face-off circle.
Yeah.
And I don't think the goalie was expecting it, really. Nobody really expected it to go in. I thought it went far too wide as well.
I thought he took it too wide, yeah.
And then he just waited out until the netminder was spread eagle, and he just lifted it over the top of him, which was a really good penalty.
As you say as well, Jonesy looking good, saving the penalties as well. Even he had one that just slipped through him as well. So it's, there's could be so many games that come down to these shootouts, and it's good to see, at least, it's after one, but we look to be confident in a strong point of the team anyway.
Aye, Jones I'm one of his great fans. I'd say he's a solid goaltender. Obviously, a lot of people have different opinions about him. He does
have his critics, to be fair, yeah.
He does have his critics. He does have his moments. He had a couple of them last season, but nothing too drastic. I'd say he's a solid netminder. I mean, you've got to be solid to last at a club like Colorado Eagles for 10 years.
Absolutely, yeah. So that leads us to this weekend's game, where we're back at the arena on Saturday, up against the current league champions, the Belfast Giants, in the Challenge Cup. A competition where, we'll talk about this more when we talk about season predictions, but where we should really be looking to make a mark this season, I think.
Aye, definitely, because I think with the team that we have, if they gel properly, I think we could win the Grand Slam. We could win it all, hopefully. Well, looking at the quality of the squad and the numbers that these players have put up in other countries and other leagues, even AHL, DEL, the Austrian League, so I see good things for the clan this year.
Hopefully so. I mean, we'll touch on this a wee bit more later on, but I definitely don't think some silverware other than the Aladdin Cup's out of our reach this season anyway. So I'll put you in a spot. We're both going to the game on Saturday. Your scoreline prediction?
I would say 4-3 clan.
4-3 clan. Right, I'll go taking everything into account. Balances to the rosters. 10-0 clan.
I'd say that's a wee bit unfair. I'd maybe go with 11 clan. Yeah,
well, I'm a realist, John. I like to keep things in perspective. Of course, so after what's going to be our famous 10-0 victory over the Giants on Saturday, we then go down to Hull for the first league game of the season, up against the Stingrays. And again, for the first league game of the season, against a team that we really should be looking to be taking 2 points off of more often than not. Wouldn't say it's a must-win game being the first game, but it's a game that you want to set a marker. How do you think we'll perform down in Hull?
Well, it'll be the team's first real road game. Obviously, they're playing in Solway.
Where they're currently 3-0 up now as we're recording.
They're playing down in Dumfries, which is just a bounce game, obviously.
Yeah.
But so it'll be the first proper road game. I think it'll be a hard game for them. Hull are a good side.
Yep.
But I think they'll miss not having Ben Bounds this year. I think Clan should easily take the 2 points in regulation, if not overtime.
And your scoreline prediction?
3-1 Clan.
3-1 Clan. I'll have to go 10-0 the Clan.
Another fair assumption.
As I say, John, I'm a realist. I just like to, this isn't, I want to set a standard for this podcast. This isn't going to be all hyperbole. This is going to be stick to the facts, keep things real, being realistic about the Clan's chances this season.
Not wearing the purple tinted specs.
Not wearing the purple tinted specs, not saying outrageous things like they're going to gub every team by a ridiculous scoreline and they're going to win the Grand Slam. We're not going to be that kind of show. Speaking of others elsewhere, we'll look around at some of the news from the rest of the league. Firstly, I think it's only fair to say congratulations to the Nottingham Panthers, who after maybe not getting the best of results in the new Champions League, certainly by all accounts put in a decent performance and showed the league in a good light, apart from the 10-1 drubbing. But no, I mean, we're always going to struggle, and teams from our league, we're going to struggle in this competition. We're not winning the top leagues, we accept that, so it's just about playing for a bit of pride, really.
Aye, definitely. But I think as the years go on, I've seen a better quality of hockey in the UK since 4 or 5 years ago when I used to go and watch the Pirates.
Yeah.
To even starting watching the Clan, the quality was there, but it wasn't consistent. Even so, last year there was a lot more quality, a wee bit more consistency, and hopefully this year it'll be a lot more consistent.
I mean, I agree with you. I mean, there needs to be a point. We can't just always look at going, we're the wee teams, we're not going to compete. We need to have a goal where, 10 years, 20 years down the line, hopefully the game grows in the UK and we can compete with the bigger teams in Europe.
Well, you just need to look at the types of signings that teams are making now. Like, we've obviously just signed Zach Fitzgerald, who had over 500 games in the AHL, obviously one step down from the big leagues.
Yep.
So it's changed days from signing maybe guys like Eastern European guys that have played a couple of times in other leagues throughout Europe, maybe even playing college hockey in the States and Canada. Now we're signing ECHL guys, and we're signing AHL, and it's only getting better.
Absolutely. As hopefully this is something we can look for in the future. They did have some success in Europe right enough. In the weekend in France, they did win the Napoleon Cup, the Panthers. I mean, still to go over to France, even if it's just a pre-season tournament, to come away with a trophy, I mean, it's still something going. You can just tip your hat to the Panthers for doing that, and at the end of the day, it does come down to representing the league well.
I do suppose they have to win some silver this season since we're winning the rest.
Well, true, yes. I mean, the other teams need to have something since we are winning the Grand Slam this year. I mean, that is officially what's going to happen. Speaking of, ties in quite well to the quality of the league improving, Paul Swindlehurst of the Dundee Stars has been invited over to the Chicago Blackhawks rookie tournament roster, which is, for any young British skater to be, to know that you're on the radars of an NHL team at the very least, I mean, you need to say congratulations to the guy as well.
Aye, congratulations to Paul, especially such a big team. Well, I mean, the Blackhawks are a
Absolutely.
huge organisation over there,
Hmm.
and it only speaks great amounts about his style of play and the way he plays that he's been noticed by someone over there.
And again, I think the next story ties in again what we're saying about the league expanding and growing and adapting. The league actually has just announced today that through September they're going to be trialling the four official system, which is used in the NHL and all the big European leagues. Of course, at the moment we only use three officials. I don't think there's anything quite wrong with the system we use, but again, if you want to be a big league, you need to do as the big leagues do.
Mm-hmm.
And
But I don't think the quality of refereeing is good enough for the quality of hockey in this country. As obviously as the league is growing, the types of players are growing, the style of hockey's changing. It's a lot faster paced than what it used to be, and I don't think that the current referees are able to keep up with it, to be honest. And you sit, obviously we're just fans, but you sit there and you look, and there's blatant calls missed, or there's just daft mistakes made by certain officials that officiate in Scotland.
Mhm.
One of which wears number 13, but I'm not going to point out his exact name. He knows who he is.
And I'm sure he's listening with interest. No, I think it's a fair point you make, John. But what I would say is, recruiting referees is possibly the hardest thing for any sport. I mean, me, I'm a football referee. Even in football, it's the most popular sport in the country. All the amateur leagues, all the youth leagues are all dying out for referees. I mean, so I think it's the guys that we have in the elite league. They might not, they're not of the highest quality, but at the end of the day, they are what we have, and obviously with these, this fourth official system, they are trying to make an improvement. So I think it's a case of trying to work with what we have and utilising it to the best of our ability.
Yeah, well, with the fourth officials, with the fourth official, I'm not
Mm,
talking about football.
yeah,
The four officials on the ice, you have two linesmen, you have two referees. Basically, the ice is split in half, and you'll have a referee in each half,
yeah,
which is good because obviously they won't need to keep up with the
exactly, yeah,
pace. They'll just hang about in their half until the play moves towards them, and it means if one misses something, the other can pick it up and they can talk about it and they can
that's the theory, yep.
confer instead of one guy going, maybe that was a penalty, right? I'll just give a penalty. No, he'll now go and ask, what do you think about that incident there? And they can come to an agreement about it.
Yeah. Okay, so, and our old pal, old clan player, Jade Galbraith, was making the news recently, making the ice hockey news again. Looks like he's been denied entry to the UK again.
What can I say?
Yep, so all I can say is Stars fans look forward to that all season.
Aye, exactly.
Hmm.
But I think, don't get me wrong, it was a great player the first season he was with the clan.
When he was bothered.
Aye, when he could be bothered. And then the next season when we had players, I'm sure it was the season with Ash Goldie arriving. Ash Goldie was the superstar of the team that year, and I think Jade's just get fed up realising he wasn't the best skater on the ice, so he just never bothered. And now, hopefully, when I'm going over to the Netherlands, he played a bit more hockey, got himself a wee bit fitter, and
Well, he couldn't get any more fatter, to be fair.
slightly adjusted his attitude, and he'd be
Yeah.
a great player. But I think, in all honesty, he's past it.
Well, maybe some new puck bunnies in Dundee will perk him up again, allegedly.
Aye.
Unconfirmed, please do not say. Right, so we're just about done here, just about to wrap up. Before we do, we've kind of been touching on this throughout, but what is your season predictions for the Braehead clan this season?
Realistically, I would say conference win,
Hmm.
potentially playoff weekend win. hopefully Challenge Cup win as well.
I certainly don't think what you're saying is out the realms of possibility. My predictions might be a bit more guarded. I think we will win the conference. I think that's a minimum for the season. In terms of the playoffs, I will take a Final Four place again. Again, I think there's absolutely no reason why we shouldn't be aiming for that as a minimum expectation. In terms of the league itself, I think first place will just be out of reach. I think possibly the Giants might just be a bit too strong for us again over a season, and the Panthers are looking like, just looking at their roster, they're looking quite good as well this season. But a top three finish is certainly not out within our reach as well. I don't think what shouldn't happen is dropping away like we did towards the end of last season. I don't think that will be an acceptable outcome again. And in terms of the Challenge Cup, I think we could win that, to be perfectly honest.
Well, we were within 2 points of the lead last year at around about Christmas, and we lost 2 games on the bounce to Belfast, which I think just swung it. And after that, we had a wee bad run of games and we kind of fell away, but we picked it up towards the end of the season again and had a strong finish in the playoffs. Yeah.
Alright, so that'll just about wrap us up for this week. So in terms of this podcast, we will be, as you know, you'll be listening to it. This will be going up on YouTube. There will also be a download link in the description if you prefer to listen to it that way. In terms of how you can get involved with the podcast, if you've got any questions for myself and John, please send them in or do it in the comments below. Now, as we said, we have got a game against the Stingrays on Sunday. Now, myself and John unfortunately won't be able to make it to Hull, but we do know there will, of course, be a travelling support going there. So if there's anyone listening who is going to Hull on Sunday and would like to give us a report of how the game went, feel free to get in contact and we'll get you on the show and you can tell us how things went in Hull. But in terms of that, just remember to subscribe on YouTube if you're listening that way, and spread this around between your clan and ice hockey supporting friends so you can get this reasonably popular podcast for the fans, by the fans. And so we'll see you at the arena on Saturday, and we'll see you about the same time next week. Bye.